All right. Time for another Joshcast. We are doing this. We are doing this. I just want to start by saying that I want to give out some advice for people going through, well, we're all going through it. And I say this only because I have lived with my family and I have experienced life with my family. And how to describe the family? Well, to just call us a Jewish family and kind of leave it at that, I think would be a bit reductive, but also correct. So here's my advice. If you do what my family does and remain in a constant state of depression/anxiety, then when bad things happen, the bottom doesn't fall out from under you because you're already there. So listen, guys, there's a good possibility that things are going to get better and we're going to get through this. And what I advise is that even if things get better, you stay down. You stay on the ground, man. You stay pessimistic and resentful and nervous and depressed. You stay there. And then, whether the world is up or the world is down, you're already there. Those are my 2 cents. All right, so what are we going to talk about this morning? Because I've done, how'd I sleep last night? Not well. Had a bit of a stomach ache. Been having a lot of the runs lately. Not one of the symptoms of the virus, by the way. That's a symptom of me having a poor diet. Hopefully that's all it is. Then my fear is, oh my God, what if it's cancer? And then, the medical system is going to be overwhelmed because of the virus. Oh God, you know. And as a result, as I had just stated, I'm in a state of anxiety. So when these things happen, I can just turn to the person next to me in the middle of the apocalypse and say, I'm not surprised. I've been preparing for this. Should we talk about what's going on in the virus news? I keep going to Twitter like an idiot. Twitter, by the way, all Twitter really is what goes on inside the head of every Jewish mother. I swear to you. It's just a combination of worst case scenarios, fear, rage, moments of great love too, but that's what Twitter really is. At least that's what it is to me. And they are, what are they saying? There's the latest one I read is that, 40 to 60% of the country could be infected with the virus. 40 to 60% of the country. Which is horrible. But in terms of numbers, can I just say, all I've been thinking about lately, where numbers are concerned, is ratings and numbers of followers. And, especially in the world of comedy, everyone's talking about how, back in the day, because there were fewer modes of distribution, in a lot of ways, everyone was more on the same page. Like, people had that water cooler moment after Seinfeld because everyone was watching Seinfeld. Whereas now, there's so many different TV shows on that there aren't as many events. So, I guess what I'm trying to say is that the virus is, the one thing that's kind of bringing us all together. The virus is getting better ratings than anything else right now. That's what I'm trying to say. The virus is killing it in the ratings game. And I'm very, now I got to be a virus? Is that what you're saying? That's what I have to do to trend? Now I have to infect people? I mean, I've heard of going viral, but this takes the cake. Blah, 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 blah. And I realize here, I am walking a bit of a fine line because this is horrible. To quote Richard Attenborough from Jurassic Park, people are dying. And I want to be sensitive to that because it is horrible. But on the other end, for me, I don't know. Humor is the only way to at least wrap my head around it. So that's what my thinking is on the matter. That's what my thought is on this insanity. That is what my thought is. That is where we are at in this. That is what is happening. That is where my thought is. And when I'm just repeating, that means I have no idea what I'm going to say next. But I need to trust the moment. I need to trust in the moment. I was trying to meditate this morning, speaking of trusting in the moment. And it was difficult to do that. It's difficult to stop in the middle of an apocalypse and just focus on the out-breath. There's so many of them when one is hyperventilating, you see. It's difficult to keep count. Then, as I was leaving this morning, I heard some birds singing, and my initial response was, "Screw you! What are you singing about? Stop boasting just because you aren't able to get the virus and we are." But that's, birds, I believe, from what I understand of science, which is quite limited, but I believe birds are one of the evolutionary, the birds come from the dinosaurs. So I feel like birds are saying, yeah, we'll survive this. We've been through worse. That's right. Yeah. Keep on doing your podcast, humans. We'll be fine. Oh, a virus. Oh, Yeah, you know what we had to deal with? A giant rock. Our giant planet was hit by a smaller planet. That's what we had to deal with. You and your virus. Stop your whining. Quit the belly aching. We'll be fine. We're going to fly over you and laugh and then poop on you. Well, that felt good. That was a good riff. I'm feeling good about that riff. How are you feeling, Ted? I'm feeling fantastic about that riff. I don't know who Ted is. Because we're at the point where if we're not able to even have an audience, we're going to have to just invent an audience. This is where the schizophrenic comedians may win the day here. And I don't mean to put down the schizophrenics. I don't mean to be insensitive to. Now I have to issue an apology. I'm sorry, Ted. You should be sorry, man. You should be sorry. I don't know what's going on with Ted exactly. He's got a slight jaw problem. It was odd. I heard that Tom Hanks had the virus, and it was odd that I heard that because literally a couple of days earlier I watched A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. And now my obsessive compulsive brain is thinking if whatever movie I watch, is that person going to get the virus the next day? Is that what's going to happen? So, I just watched Picard. So everybody on the Picard set, get tested. Because the universe revolves around this guy. So that is my, that's my thought. That's what we're going to discuss. It's a boot community. It's a boot community. That's what it's about, as far as I'm concerned. That's what we have to do here at Flappers Comedy Club and Restaurant. What am I saying? Where did that come from? Where did that come from? Right, because I do work at Flappers, and, we're experiencing everything that everyone else is experiencing, and I'll be honest, it is scary. Where we've got to figure out how are we going to keep going. But I want to figure out a way to keep going. All we can do is keep going. All we can do is keep going. And that, my friends, is what we are going to do. We are going to keep going. We are going to persevere. Where is this optimism coming from? I don't know, maybe I've got a recessive optimistic gene. Although I was reading that adult children of alcoholics thrive in stressful environments. So, it's like I've come home. I mean, I hate to say this, but alcoholism might be, frankly, the prescription at this point. You may want to, a drug problem might be a good idea. Have you considered heroin? Consult your local physician. Oh. I wonder if more people are going to play the lottery now. With our lives. There's a part of me that actually wants to join the government, specifically the president's cabinet. Not because I could actually contribute to anything, just because I want to sound as much like those characters in the movies about where this happens. If only you would listen to me, Mr. President. Gentlemen, and I say this taking off my glasses. Gentlemen, it is exactly as we have feared. Institute, project, podcast. I'm not the first one to joke about this, but this is going to create a lot more podcasts. That is exactly what this is going to do. Create a lot more podcasts. So, we have no choice. Boy, this is turning into the ramblings of a madman. And on top of it, it's got to rain. Like, on top of it. On top of everything else, it's got to rain. Can't we at least get some sunshine? But it's amazing to me, too, that this is affecting the entire world. The entire world is being affected by this. I have never seen anything like this in my lifetime. I mean, I think the last thing that had this much of a world impact, I believe, was the Macarena. But don't quote me on that. I'm not a historian. The entire world will be affected by this. Which means that we have to come together as a community. The world has to come together. And there's only one way that we can come together, people. Outwardly, we have to show our support for each other. And inwardly, we have to blame and resent the people who probably made this worse. I'm telling you, that's the only way to deal with this. I'm not at all telling you need to be a good person. You just need to pretend to be a good person long enough to get us through all of this. Meanwhile, you hold on to those resentments. You hold on to the blame. And then after we've weathered the storm, those of us who are left can go ahead and burn all the bridges you need to burn to feel better about yourself. You're not going to find better advice on any other podcast. That is my number one money-back guarantee. So that, my friends, is what we are going to do. It's creepy because I'm really noticing the gun stores today more so than usual. Feeling a little concerned that it might soon be the era of Mad Max. The only difference between this and Mad Max is that I have a feeling that even if everything does fall apart, there will still be podcasts. Mad Max would have a podcast. Mad Max's podcast would have to rely heavily on the guest because he's not, he doesn't talk much. I think really all his questions would, his one question would be, so who are you going to take revenge on? And then let the other person just kind of go off for an hour. And that would be the Mad Max podcast. I do think the Mad Max podcast theme would be, it's the Mad Max podcast with Mad Max and his producing partner, Steve Alexandro. I'm Mad Max. And I'm Steve Alexandro. It's a pleasure to be here on the Mad Max and Steve podcast. Our guest today is a terrified woman who is running away from a gang. Welcome. Okay. Max, why don't we start? What's your question? Who are you going to take revenge on? It's the Mad Max podcast with his co-producer, Steve Alexandro. That's, there you go. That's something. That was fun. We're having fun. No, we're not. No one is having fun. Fun has been literally canceled. They closed Disneyland. They closed fun. They closed Joy. Joy is closed until further notice. Maybe we should do the opposite with this thing. I mean, because if we're to the point where the virus is that unstoppable, we should open up all the entertainment centers and close down the government, because clearly they didn't work in the first place. Let's give Netflix the reins. They seem to know what they're doing. Outbreak's been trending for weeks. All right, I'm arriving at my destination now. But as they say in the movie Serenity, you can't stop the signal, Mal. You can't stop the signal. Well, that's all. Assuming there's a tomorrow, I'll talk to you. Be safe. Hug your loved ones. And remember, if you're playing Street Fighter 2 and you're playing Guile, and you want to shoot the sonic boom, hold back for 2 seconds, forward punch.